On FM has been out for a few days now, and honestly, with the mixed reviews coming in left and right with the glory of the wonderful internet, we definitely have been able to see the different viewpoints of individuals. Some are running around obviously saying that the Weeknd has been riding the glory days, the power of the 80s with the synth wave because of the atmosphere that his production has taken recently. And I really want to talk about the one trick, obviously, that the Weeknd has been using for a couple of years now with the reinvention of his brand as an artist. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Still Slaps Music Commentary. Today we're obviously talking about Dawn FM, and we're talking about the trick of Weeknd using his production to make you think, obviously, back to the days of your nostalgia and really reeling you in to really think about the production of his music being bigger than it really is. We could kind of, like I said, take this back to After Hours. Obviously, After Hours provided the Weeknd's, I believe, his biggest song to date in his discography, which is Blinding Lights. Blinding Lights was full of this big, powerful synth wave, very, very atmospheric. And right away, when you hear that chord progression, a lot of people will automatically say that, yeah, this is 80s synthwave all the way. It's very, very powerful in that aesthetic, and a lot of people attribute that to that particular time. But I think the biggest mistake that a lot of people, say in regards to that type of music, that obviously that small portion of synthwave did not speak for a huge, the bigger portion of the 80s. A lot of people, we make the mistake as humans taking certain portions of certain eras in a fraction of time and making it bigger than it really is. Obviously, synthwave was huge back in the 80s, but it wasn't the only present sound during that time. That genre was very, very much influential, thanks to movies like The Breakfast Club. Everybody knows the Don't You Forget About Me soundtrack. We know how iconic that was, but like I said, that was not the whole grand spectrum of that era of music. Very, very much so, it was very prevalent in a lot of areas, but it did not speak to that whole era. Now, the Weeknd was able to realize that with his recent production. Obviously, the only thing that you really, really need as an artist, especially when you get to the stature of someone like the Weeknd, if you could take a small little portion of a decade, a certain era, a certain sound that a lot of people resonated with, they had no choice to resonate with, because, like I said, big soundtracks and big things, big mainstream movements when it comes down to certain music is unavoidable. It's inescapable. We all know that certain soundtracks contributed to why we say certain pieces of music was very, very much so bigger than it really is if you pull back the lenses. Obviously, The Breakfast Club and things of that nature, Don't You Forget About Me, or even songs like Take On Me by Aha, those were huge singles and huge iconic, mainstream big records of that time, but they don't speak for that whole era, and it would be ignorant for us to assume that. But like I said, very, very small portions of us weren't born around that time. We experience movies, or we experience things on the screen. Some of us are 90s babies, some of us are 80s babies, and were in that sort of trance when it came to that music. But when you experience it at a certain time, or when you are to experience it in that grand spectrum, I think you're gonna have no choice but to say, oh yeah, this specific soundtrack is the soundtrack to this era. And The Weeknd is able to do that with Dawn FM. He's really able to do that with Dawn FM by really stretching out, like I said in my review. He's able to stretch out that sound for a good amount of period of time to really make you think that he's milking it. You would ignorantly walk away from Dawn FM and say he didn't contribute anything different, because he uses the power of nostalgia. He uses the power of taking that small portion of time and really making it big, making it bigger than it really was at the time. And it's as simple as that. I think that a lot of people are really caught up in the, trying to reason that it is a ripoff, that it is a cop-out. But, like I said, even that is very much debatable. Some of the Weeknd's vocal inflections take on Gasoline, when he's doing the lower vocal performance octaves there, could remind you of certain choruses in big songs like Aha by Take On Me. If you really compare the two, you could definitely see where I'm coming from. But it very much is a kind of a sort of art to stealing in resampling and dumping it back onto the modern day. Big examples like The Weeknd are able to really milk this out. And I don't think it's necessarily all bad, but you do obviously have lower attention spans in today's era, and it could definitely be a downfall in certain aspects of that. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Dawn FM is a nice take on the 80s, or do you think it is sort of a lazy sort of performance flow by The Weeknd? Let me know in the comments, guys, and thank you for watching.
That slaps.